Hello, everybody, and welcome to World Talks, where every word matters, especially this time around. My name is Don Arleth. Now, achieving gender equality in the corporate boardroom has long been sought to boost female representation at the highest levels of corporate management. In November of 2022, the European Union adopted a directive on improving the gender balance among directors of listed companies, the so-called Women on Boards Directive. While many applauded this directive, others laud the idea. Despite the debate, after 10 years in the making, it's about to become reality. The mandate seeks to boost female representation to 40% of non-executive directors, or have female representation of executive and non-executive directors of at least 33% in all publicly traded companies by 2026. And now joining me here to discuss the Women on Boards Directive is Maria Teresa Lillo Sanz, a food industry executive, CFO of the biggest food company, and this is your 46th country that you've worked in with your organization. Maria, thank you very much for joining me today.
Thank you for your invitation.
Now, let's start off this conversation by listening to Ursula von der Leyen and what she said about this newest directive.
Why diversity? Why women on board? Because all research and economic studies show that companies that embrace diversity are more successful. And this is true in business, in politics, and in society as a whole. And still, too often, and especially when looking at top positions, we hear men say that it is not possible to find women with the right profile. Well, if you are seriously looking for them, you will find them. It has been 10 years since the Commission proposed to set a target of 40% for women on boards of publicly listed European firms. For 10 years, our efforts to put in place a European legislation have been blocked. 10 years where voluntary measures have not brought the change we need. The glass ceiling remains firm in place at the top of European companies. If we look beyond boards, at the top leadership positions, just 7% of the largest European companies are led by a woman. Boards are one thing. It is the knock-on effect that matters. As more diverse boards hire more diverse CEOs, who, in turn, hire more diverse managers, that's what counts.
Okay, now let's just look at some of the key provisions of this directive before we get into this discussion. Now, 40% of non-executive director posts should go to the underrepresented sex. Underrepresented sex is key here because that could also apply to men as well in certain situations. Now, 33% among all directors of the underrepresented sex as well, so that's the target. Dissuasive penalties for non-compliance, and enterprises with up to 249 employees will be excluded, although this directive is targeting all publicly traded companies around the continent. So in your opinion, does this directive, Women on Boards, is it needed, and why is the EU issuing these regulations?
Thank you very much for the question, Don. But before answering this question, I would like to invite all of us to the following reflection. In our companies, do we want to recognize and reward the talent of all our employees of our companies? Could we lead our organizations in a more effective way? If the answer of any of these questions is yes, you will agree with me when I'm saying that the European Directive Women on Board is indeed necessary. Very few women are in top positions. We have heard less than 1/3 of the largest European Union companies are being led by women, even though 60% of our university graduates are females. In fact, the European Union is issuing these regulations because they want to address gender imbalance in corporate leadership positions, foster equal opportunities for women in making decision roles, and also to ensure that women, with their talents, they can contribute with their talents and also their skills at the highest level. So at the end of the day, the European Union is issuing these new rules to accelerate the progress, as I mentioned, address the gender imbalance that we have at the moment, and also to break the glass ceiling. And the binding quotas that we are seeing are proved to be more effective than in countries where we have softer measures, or we don't have any action, or they haven't taken any action. I'm coming from Spain, I'm sure you have noticed with my accent. And in Spain, this directive, Women on Board, applies for all companies with at least 250 employees. If we are seeing in Spain the IBEX 35, the Iberia Index 35, which is the benchmark for the stock exchange index from the Bolsa de Madrid, so the Spain principal stock exchange, we see that the women represent 35.8%. It's only when we are seeing the administrative state when the parameters are met. We are above 40% since 2021. Something that is very interesting, last year the government issued in September an app called Me Toca, which is, or my turn, so it's my Me Toca, yes, which means, or what the goal of this app was to create a balance of the homework and care tasks in the families, to provide visibility, awareness, where is the burden sharing, and at the end they wanted to provoke a dialogue within the families.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Now, your overview regarding the situation concerning women on boards in different countries, where do you think, after 46 countries, that's quite impressive, what have you noticed? Where is it the best? Where is it the worst? I've noticed that you've already said that where the mandate is in place is where it's obviously the most successful.
Well, if we are looking at if we read the global gender gap report that is issued annually by the World Economic Forum, we see that at global level, no sector, even the most feminized, let's put it in this way, which is education, health, tertiary sector, is led by women. And only 23.6% of the enterprises are reporting to have in their boards being chaired, or their boards are being chaired by women. If we are looking around, we see, for instance, a good progress being done by Latin America after Europe and North America. In fact, in Latin America, Nicaragua, for instance, ranks #1. It's the 7th ranking worldwide. And after Nicaragua, we have Costa Rica and Chile. Nicaragua is doing a good job in education. And also, if we see the share of women at the parliament ministry, they have more than 50%. Something that is also very interesting is if we are checking the International Labour Organization, the last reports, we are still see that there is overall a 20% pay gap between men and women across the world. And this, one of the main reasons is because we don't have, there is an underrepresentation, we don't have representation of women in leadership positions. There is also another problem, not problem, but there is another challenge to overtake, and which is women are more likely to take breaks in their careers than men because they are raising their children, or they are taking care of old and ill members of the family. Mm-hmm. But overall, if we are seeing the overall picture, we see that the glass ceiling is affecting companies, small and largest, all over the world. Now, if we are talking about Europe, obviously, Nordic countries are always a reference because they have done a lot of activities in gender balance, they impose quotas, and they have a higher level of women. France has done a very good progress as well, and in fact is ranking #1 at the moment, after is Italy. And what they have done in France, they put in place their legal women on board target in 2021. And the 40% came into force in 2017. Italy, Germany, the Netherlands, they have done a very good progress, but still there are countries where the progress has been slower, and we don't have the representation we would like to see in these countries. And at the bottom is Cyprus, for instance, Estonia, and Hungary. So overall, we have to work towards a greater gender balance globally.
Well, it seems like this is going to become a reality. Now, looking at these representations, just to give you an idea, Cyprus, these are 2022 figures of female non-executive directors. Cyprus is only 7%, Estonia 12%, Bulgaria 13%. Now let's go over to Poland. And Poland's, well, it's on the top end of the lowest countries. So Poland is 24%.
It's in the bottom 10 because you are looking at the 2022 December. If we are looking at December 2023, they increase a little bit. So from the bottom is 12, is in the 12th ranking. And if we are seeing the 140 listed companies in the world Warsaw Stock Exchange, we saw a progress, progress in the boards being led by women. In 2022, we have only 3 companies. In 2023, we have 6 companies. So indeed, there is a progress to be done.
But still quite a ways to go. And now finally, just before we end here, do you think that this directive is going to have meaningful impact? Because if we look at the discrepancy between France or Italy, which lead the pack, and Cyprus, well, it's really vast. Do you think in such a short period of time, until 2026, we're going to be able to close these gaps across the board statistically?
We have to implement certain strategies in the organizations. We need to look from the entire process from hire to retire, for instance. We need to start from the recruitment process to be equal, to have all opportunities for men and women. Then we have to see that we need to put our women in the succession plans. We need to help them along the journey with mentorship, coaching, sponsorship trainings. Obviously, 2026 is very close, but still there is a lot of effort to do at the organizations and also in the education. Initiatives that we can take is also to promote and to make sure that girls at the very early stage, they get confidence. And for that, we need role models. We need role models in the companies, but also in the families. I am coming from Spain. I am very lucky because I'm going to explain a little bit my background. I have a grandma. She was one of the first women working at the Spanish government. And my mother, for instance, she has been a sprinter. She's a gold medal from Spain. And I grew up with this kind of, very ambitious women and with this attitude of never give up. And I think we have to transmit also these values to our future generations as well.
I absolutely agree, especially as a father of 3 young girls. I hope that they get to share in this brighter future, of course, as well. Well, Maria Teresa Lillo Sanz, food executive industry for 46 countries. Thank you very much for shedding light on this very important topic, and we appreciate it. Thanks for
Thank you very much, Don. Thank you.